In Kumasi, we on Love 99.5 FM and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Badarin FM Bumpurugu, Klenam Radio Bato, Gaskia FM Techiman, Radio Wawa, Get Radio TV, and online content on the myjoyonline.com interactive app for Android and iOS devices. Coming up, minority in Parliament says it will only cooperate with the majority for the passage of the Appropriations Bill only if their main recommendations are taken into account.
We have nothing against the Appropriation Bill, provided the figures tally. We have no issues against that.
Also, the minority leadership in Parliament under intense pressure from within its own ranks to explain how they lost initiative to reject budget estimates for the Finance Ministry. Also, NDC flag bearer for the 2024 elections, John Mahama, says next year's polls will be a true reflection of the people, as he says his party will be extra vigilant at all polling stations.
Don't say I'm the chairman, I'm the treasurer, so I have no role to play. Nobody is going to sleep on the 9th of 7th December 2024.
In business,
banks in Ghana write off 3.19 billion cedis as bad debt as of October 2023. Details coming up on the Joy Business Report.
And later, Joy News' Erastus Asaridonko receives 50,000 Ghana cedis as cash prize for winning the Ghana Journalists Association's PAV Answer Journalist of the Year.
Asaridonko will be receiving a dummy check for receiving this very hands together for him one more time.
These are more coming up with me, Mamiesi Nyamiche Thompson. Now, barring any last-minute difficulties, the Appropriations Bill is expected to be passed today. This is because the minority, which remains the biggest threat to the passage of the bill, have indicated that they will not hinder the process if their proposals for change are accepted. Speaking to Raymond Akwa on Upfront, Minority Chief Whip Governs Kwame Agboja insists the increase in funds for special education, for example, is not negotiable.
Oh, we have already signaled at different levels for certain amounts to be reallocated. With the case of the Minister of Education, you saw the minority leader make the case that we are looking forward to that 20 million cedis or so to be reallocated to, a particular entity under the Ministry of Education for them to get our support for that. We have nothing against the Appropriation Bill, provided the figures tally. We have no issues against that.
Meanwhile, the minority leadership in Parliament is under intense pressure from its own ranks to explain how they lost the initiative to reject the budget estimates in the Finance Ministry. For the Finance Ministry, I beg your pardon. The majority side appear to have lost a voice vote on the approval of the ministry's budget when many members failed to show up on the floor on a second voice vote, making it easy for the majority side to approve the 2 billion cedi budget. Now, NDC Member of Parliament for Tamale Central and former Deputy Trade Minister Murtala Mohammed, who himself did not return for the second vote, explained what happened.
The sitting was suspended. We were all supposed to retire to our offices. We are expecting that the bell will be rung when they are ready. I was on my way to the chamber. And in fact, I had to go through the social on Facebook because, Parliament sittings is live on Facebook. So as I was moving to chamber, I checked and I realized that they were taking over. By the time I got there, the vote has been done.
So you were also not there?
I wasn't even there. That is why I am saying that. Why was the bell not even rung? There is no any way anyone can convince me that it was not deliberately.
He says his leadership has questions to answer.
When they took the voice vote and only few members were in the chamber, why didn't our leaders protest? Why didn't they?
You say your leaders, you mean the minority leadership?
Yes, they should have protested. There are certain questions that must be answered by the leadership. That question must be answered by the leadership.
You heard Tamale Central MP Murtala Mohammed. Away from Parliament, former President John Mahama assured his party, the National Democratic Congress, of his commitment to ensuring that the true voice of Ghanaians is reflected in the upcoming 2024 general elections. During an end-of-year gathering at his office in Cantonments, the former president reassured the party faithfuls, national executives, members of Parliament, and parliamentary candidates of the party's preparedness for the elections. He emphasized the importance of securing and counting every vote to uphold the integrity of the process.
As many of you must volunteer to participate in the process as possible. Don't say I'm the chairman, I'm the treasurer, so I have no role to play. Nobody is going to sleep on the 9th of 7th December 2024. Whether you are a treasurer, you are a secretary, you are a vice secretary, you are a women's organizer, nobody is going to sleep. Don't say it is the work of the Elections Directorate, and so I'm going home. Everybody will stay awake.
You heard NDC's presidential candidate, John Dramani Mahama. Now, the National House of Chiefs is recommending the total abolition of policies that grant permission for mining in the country's forest reserves. According to the House, although regulatory policies were instituted to take in more resources and economic benefits for the country, the governing bodies have failed to implement the policies judiciously. Now, Emmanuel Baikweku has filed this report.
At its last general meeting for the year, the National House of Chiefs recommended the termination of policies on mining in forest reserves. The House says the regulatory bodies responsible for ensuring sanity have failed in their mandates. Ojaho Yao Jibi II is the president of the National House of Chiefs.
The policy on mining in forest reserves was well intended, but the results so far show that beneficiaries of the policy have not been sincere enough. We as chief and as custodians of the land should recommend a total abolition of the policy. Indeed, Nananum are calling on government to change the regulatory regime to involve Nananum.
The Ghana and Togo have expressed an urgent need to continue with negotiations to agree on a maritime boundary line as soon as possible to resolve their ocean boundary dispute. Maxwell Agbagba has more on this report.
National Coordinator of the Ghana Boundary Commission, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, described the meeting as successful.
The progress that we have made is very tremendous, apart from some very few issues that we need to resolve. Ghana is committed to a negotiated settlement of the maritime dispute between Ghana and Togo. We hope that we should be able to meet this within the first quarter of next year, if not earlier.
Togo's presidential advisor and deputy chief negotiator Stanislas Baba says he is hopeful a maritime boundary delimitation agreement which will bring an end to the dispute over the ocean boundary of the two countries will be signed next year.
But everything is going well, our discussion. I think maybe next year the time will come to sign an agreement.
Maxwell Agbagba's report. Now, Multimedia's very own Erastus Asaridonko has been awarded a 50,000 Ghana cedis cash prize for winning the 2022 PAV Answer Journalist of the Year. James Aveji has more on this report.
The 2023 Ghana Journalists Association Annual Dinner is a night set aside in the GJ's calendar to reflect over the year under review and forecast for the next year. Executives of the GJ in the middle of the celebration presented a 50,000 cedis check to the 2022 PAV Answer Journalist of the Year Erastus Asaridonko as cash prize for his award 2 months ago.
Asaridonko will be receiving a dummy check for receiving this very hands together for him one more time.
Away from that, Ifwa Asantua Duonum has sent a passionate appeal to the electricity company of Ghana ahead of her attempt to break the record for the longest singing marathon by an individual. She says preparations for her world record-breaking attempt is advanced, and despite her plea to ECG, her team has made generators and power plants available. She spoke at a presser earlier.
Ghanaian woman Ifwa Asantua, who was attempting to break the longest singing marathon, is calling on the Electricity Company of Ghana not to turn off the power during her singathon. She was speaking at a press conference in Accra.
Please, ECG, during this period, please spare me. Let's pile it up for maybe second week in January.
And before we go, countdown to Joy FM Family Party in the Park. We have just 4 days to go. Tickets are selling fast. Join the thousands of families who have planned to gather at the Bree Botanical Gardens. Let's listen to General Manager in charge of Sales and Customer Service at Multimedia Group, David Max Fuga.
We are ready to receive our first guest by 8 a.m. on December 26th at the Botanical Gardens. In terms of offering, this year we have increased the variety. We have created a sporting village where most of the sporting activities will take place. We have also reintroduced the Daddy's Corner, which of course people are asking that we rename Adults Corner. In the Daddy's Corner, we're going to have the beer village, we're going to have the meat village, we're going to have the food village, and of course, everything that makes the daddy excited will be provided at the Daddy's Corner.
Can't wait to see you there. And that's how we end the bulletin. Minority in Parliament says it will only cooperate with the majority for the passage of the Appropriations Bill only if their main recommendations are taken into account. I am Amiesi Nyamiche Thompson. Business is next on the Super Money.